5:30, we're going to begin. This is the Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority. This is February the 9th, 2023. It is 5:30 p.m. and this is the work session for the Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority. Item number 1 on the agenda this evening is City Manager Steve Ruger. I invited him to come and speak with this evening on an informal basis. He has graced us with his presence. So again, I did note in the agenda that his time is limited this evening, so we'd like to have him out of here at least by 5:45 so he can make the State of the City presentation by the mayor this evening. So without further lapse of time here, welcome, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good to be here with you, board members, and I have a couple of updates for you, and then happy to answer any questions you all have for me or anything else you'd like to talk about. First update is very excited to announce to you all that we have hired a full-time development services director. Previously, we called the position city planner, but we're kind of restructuring that and want to have a little bit more of a robust approach to development in general in the community. But her name is Keely Williams. Some of you might know her. She's a member of our community. And I think she's going to be a terrific asset to serving the residents of Trinidad. But the good news for you all is part of her position description includes being a liaison to the TURA board. And that was something that was really important to me. I came and spoke with you all last fall, and it seems like there's definitely a little bit of a disconnect in getting you all some staff presence at your meetings. And so I'm glad that we'll be able to have a full-time person who understands what you all do to assist you and help you with your processes. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing, I just wanted to really thank Ed and you all for your efforts on the Hughes Lumber Building. I think that is the perfect example of where the city and TURA can work well together, and I hope that we can see more projects like this go forward in the future. And I'm really excited about the revenue share side of things and getting you all some money, so I think there's a win-win in it for us all, and then certainly for the community in getting that building sold and repurposed for something greater for our city. So those are my updates, but certainly happy to answer any questions or talk about anything you guys would like to know from my perspective.
I'll go around the table first, sure. and then I will.
So Keely's our local architect?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, she has an architectural background, and I think that's going to serve the city really, really well. She understands land use, she understands permitting and applications on buildings, and certainly building codes. And we have a lot of building projects going on right now, so I think her expertise will be invaluable to the city. And we, just so you know, ancillary to that, we've also hired a new building inspector. Kent Robinson had left, he retired in January, so that was a big loss to the city. Yeah. But we hired a guy named John Wilkinson, and he's from Texas. However, a year ago, he bought a house here in Trinidad and is planning to relocate here. Mm-hmm. Tremendous amount of experience in building inspection, and I think that's going to match our mission of expedited development review and services to our developers. We want to be very welcoming to new businesses.
So will that be both residential and commercial?
Yes, it will.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Nice to hear.
Yeah.
Commissioner Lopez.
Steve, thank you for being here. I know you're in a hurry. Kaylee was the lady that was in the presentation the other night for the hearings for the Maverick station and all that stuff.
No, that's Chris Hall.
Okay, I was trying to figure out who was who. Okay.
Yeah, Chris is, she's been a planning assistant with the city for a few years, and she's really stepped up and taken a role in serving as quasi-interim director, and we're very proud of her, and she'll remain on staff, so we'll have her assistance as well.
Okay, and Mr. Dornkamp reached out to you on that project and get some information, I guess, recently?
He did,
okay.
Yeah, so he's working with their project engineer, and yeah, we want to be transparent and work with you guys on that project as well.
Yeah,
make sure you address your concerns.
The county road it's road-a-mill, and
yeah,
it's just, it needs to be all encompassing one project.
Absolutely.
So I guess the budget is maybe my last question.
Sure.
Moving forward next year, since we have the liaison now, the Kaylee.
Keely. K-E-E-L-Y, yes.
There will be no expense to urban renewal? The city will cover all that expense, or will we have to?
We won't bill you for her time.
Okay,
No.
great. Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Hare.
No questions at this point.
Great.
I just wanted to make sure the new building inspector's name is
John Wilkinson.
John Wilkinson, okay.
Yeah.
Has he started already?
He starts Monday, the 13th, and then Keely, her start date will be February 21st. So in the next couple of weeks, we'll have a much stronger department. All right. Well, thank you all. I apologize, I have to jet out of here,
I
but.
do have one.
Oh, yeah,
question.
sorry. Please,
I
Chair.
want to go around the table first.
Yes, of course.
And it sort of expands a little bit more on what Commissioner Lopez asked. So and you and I had talked about that in one of our most recent meetings about updating the cooperation agreement between TURA and the city of Trinidad.
Sure, yeah.
So I think you were going to talk with Les on that.
Yeah,
And so I guess, maybe we need to make an update to that,
yeah, now is a good time to be looking at that and make sure we incorporate Keely's role into that agreement.
Okay.
Yeah, so I will put that on my list of things to do. I believe Les is looking at it right now, but let's make sure we address that component as well.
Well, we do appreciate that you included TURA in that job description.
Yeah.
Because any assistance that we can garner,
Yeah.
Brittany's been an immense
Yeah.
assistance, and, what we get is appreciated, so we appreciate you
Good,
putting that as a part of that,
yeah.
of that position.
Absolutely. Well, and I think it'll serve as a nice bridge to connect what you do to our city operations in general, and I'm excited for the collaboration.
One last question, Chairman. Coming from Albuquerque, how do you like all the snow?
Oh, I love the snow. I grew up in Denver, so this is nothing. But yes, it's nice to see the huge piles of snow. I haven't seen those since I was a kid. All right. Well,
Thanks
thank
so
you
much.
all. All right. We'll talk to you
Talk to you again,
Thanks.
thank you. All right, everyone, item number 2 on the agenda this evening, Cougar Canyon. Been mentioned several times in the past, and it's been a topic of conversation more than once. So it has been placed on the agenda. Commissioner Lopez, you have provided some information as far as you, and that was included in the agenda for everyone. That included the information regarding the taxes, which are substantial.
Yes.
And the upcoming meeting that the commissioners have organized that will address, and I guess throw out some what-ifs regarding the things. So I'll turn that over to you. That one is was your topic.
So, Pat reached out to me about 2 weeks after our last meeting, and I had already gotten this information, and then he had his, the best of the tidbits that
Yes.
going on, so he really couldn't. But all I did was I got some information from our county treasurer. This is the back taxes owed on the property accumulating, were $14,881,000. The county commissioners did approve meeting in a work session with the city of Trinidad and a renewal. We've gone a step further as of today and invited the Board of Health and the Health Department Director, and also any personnel that Kim Gonzalez will bring, mainly for the septic reasons and the questions that might be having the sewage at the hotel and the properties out there. The hotel is in blight, we all know that, and that's kind of what this board is to take notice of and look at. So those are gonna be, I figured it'd be best to have all of the tools in the toolbox at the table to see which ones we can utilize moving forward. At the last conference, or what did they call it, the legislative roundtable we had at Trinidad State College, Mayor Rico declared that Cougar Canyon is a nightmare. Well, it's time to wake up from the nightmare and let's come out of this horrible dream and figure out what we're gonna do, whether it's with the city making the first move, the county, urban renewal, whatever we can assist each other, how we can work together as a community. And that's what this work session is gonna be about. It's not about pointing fingers at this point, it's how we can get this accomplished to move forward in the best possible manner. And I think all of us coming together, we can do so. So that's the whole purpose of this. It is step probably 3 of many more to go. We've had 2 other work sessions, but we haven't had TURA at the table. And we haven't had the Board of Health at the table as well. So I think this is gonna be a good start for this moving forward. And if you have any questions, if I have the answer, I'll give them to you.
Mr. Cochran,
I have no questions at this point.
Mr. Hector.
I was amazed at the amount of taxes that are on it. In the last meeting, you said they were in bankruptcy. What's involved in us taking over the property, or the city taking over the property?
So you have what's called a metro district out there that doesn't have a board of directors. It's unseated. And in my opinion, that might be one of the best ways to move forward to get the whole thing started. So the mill levy is 51 mills on those lots out there and those properties, and it's not for the hotel. I think the hotel's is separate, and Ed might know more information on the hotel. But as a county, the county treasurer can go after all the lots on warranty deeds and seize them, and then put them up for auction. But we lose all of the back tax money, which we'd have to probably ask all of the taxing districts, the school districts, the fire districts, the city, the county, if we'd be willing to absolve those. So that would be a way the county could move forward with it, and then put them on the auction block.
Wasn't that something that was proposed?
We've done 10 already,
Okay.
and we just did some more, and 3 of them were not bought. The county is now have ownership of them. So 10 of them, and 10 were redeemed by the taxpayer who owned them. He paid his $287,000 in back taxes on it about 6-8 months ago. An investor out of California. And so we're hoping that entices these people to start paying their taxes by using that leverage tool that the treasurer's office has, and then through the county commissioners. The problem is though, as you go and you auction these to a developer or to individuals that want to build a home, first of all, we have to make sure that the sewage and the septic and whatever is allowable out there is working. In other words, there's one section of that property that doesn't have the lift station that needs to be put in place to the tune of $500,000.
Is that our responsibility?
No, it was the developers. So who does it fall on now that it's gone bankrupt? Is it the city's responsibility? Is it the metro districts? Is it whose? That's what needs to be figured out. So, but if you go to try to sell the lots and they're not buildable, who's gonna buy them? Nobody. So now we're back to square one where we're at now. Nobody getting tax dollars on it. And who wants to build with an eyesore there? So are they gonna rehabilitate the building? In order to, and also to condemn it, which is under our authority, we have to give market value for it. Does Urban Renewal have the money to buy it? No. So there's a lot of moving parts to this that we all need to come together and say who's gonna do what, where, why, how, and how do we get to this, to resolve this nightmare. That's about it.
So we're just one of the parts that you're talking about, the moving part. We're saying we want to help, but we don't quite know where, that's what I was seeing.
We're a tool in the toolbox. This
Okay.
organization can
That's
be
good.
utilized as a tool in the toolbox. And do we want to take a role in that toolbox without having that conversation with the city and the county? No. Or we don't want to, and this board could. It could just come down and do what our authority we've been given to do so, but we don't want to do that, in my opinion. Let's find the best scenario to get this accomplished, because if it falls in our lap, then what do we do with it?
Yeah.
Then we're in the same boat. How do we seek the metro district without the city of Trinidad? And so a lot of the big controversy out there seeking that metro district is they're afraid of certain individuals getting on that board and having the same issues they had before. But now the county owns some of those, and I believe the county, through their bylaws, and I have to investigate, don't quote me, can also be seated at the table and have a seat at that metro board, so that it can't go into chaos again.
Where, I hear where we're at, but, we're saying that we're ready to, how far along are we with, where do you foresee us as a board getting involved? Relatively soon, or
Well,
6 months down the line?
March 14th is our meeting date.
I'm sorry?
March 14th is the
Oh,
day,
okay,
is the day of the meeting.
Uh-huh.
And that's the date where we take a part in it, and we have, what we, the chairman can offer to what our role could be, what it couldn't be, what we, explain to the community what urban renewal can or can't do.
Okay.
And then let everybody come have some dialogue and then converse before any decisions are made, because there won't be any decision making. It's not a urban renewal workshop or a board meeting. There's no action items, but it's mainly for discussion. And so at that point in time, we will be able to put our cards on the table. Here's how we can help. And then that's more of I think, an aspect of looking at it is how can we help? And because if you come out of an authoritative figure, you start doing this and then nothing gets done.
Nothing.
And we're back to where we've been for the
Right,
past, I don't know, 14 years yet?
Well, I'll give some information, I can tell you a little bit.
Okay.
I did go do some searching on my own. And first of all, the meeting, it's appreciated that the commissioners have scheduled that meeting, because there has to be a playbook created in order to figure out where this goes. It is quite convoluted. There are a lot of parts to it. So it's a matter, and it's going to need, however it is. I mean, it's been something for a lot of years that people have looked at, have talked about, so it's on the table again. And so it's one where urban renewal can be a part of that, but it has to be, you know, there are other stakeholders. It's the county, it's the city, there are other taxing districts that have it. Technically, I'm gonna say that over the years with those losses of the ad valorem tax, because a lot of those are, well, the hotel building and the vacant lots, we basically lost TIF on it as well. So we too are a stakeholder in all of that. So those are, there are, but in order for that ever to go into, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of questions to be asked, a lot of answers to be had. So it's a matter of, you know, it's a good thing that that is, and that'll probably be the first of probably a lot of work sessions that have to happen if that is going to be something that has to be something going forward. Probably with the complexity of things and the amounts due on taxes at 14 million, didn't you say? You take all those numbers together, there's going to have to be, starting on it anywhere, it's gotta be with the government. I mean, those taxes, you know, if a developer is to consider that, there's gonna have to be, you know, the taxes are the cloud over it. You know, if there's developers that come in and wanna do something and further from where it is, you're gonna have to, you know, the taxes are gonna be an issue. So that's probably the biggest thing out there is, you know, there's unpaid taxes that everybody would like their portion of, but will that ever happen? You know, those are all things to be brought about.
Sure.
And in preparation for tonight, I did go do a little bit of searching because you go to the Department of Local Affairs website, you can look at various governmental entities on there, and for that particular, you know, there's two metro districts out there, Metro District 1 and Metro District 2, and it's referred to as Stone Ridge Metropolitan District, and it's one, and there's two. The last financial statement on record at the Department of Local Affairs is dated December 31st, 2010. And the last budget that was submitted was 2013. And so, you know, there's a lot, not much can be gleaned from there because there's not been a lot of required findings that were made. There is not a seated, it also says on there too, there's not any board of record on that. So that information came from the Department of Local Affairs website, so that's available to anybody who wants to look at it. So there's a lot of stuff, a lot of answers, a lot of questions to be asked, a lot of answers to be had. Don't know if that night they're all gonna come out, but it's gonna be probably an idea session of what are the next, because, you know, there's a lot, we be legal issues.
How long has it been since they officially closed down and everything like that? Because I remember seeing it in the paper, it seemed like a long time ago. Has it been that long, or?
Probably 14.
And maybe that, I think the demise
2014?
began when the.
In 07, when the
You
market
know,
crashed.
07, 08, when all of that began, I
Yeah.
think that was the beginning, right? And you know,
Yeah.
the development is a great development. It was a great idea that took Trinidad forward.
Yes.
At that time, that was, you know, really, there was really no other developments that had gone on. So it is in its own right a gem in the rough. It
Yeah.
just needs to get to that next level. It is,
Right,
it is,
right.
it was a good
concept.
idea, it is a good idea,
Mhm.
you know, just how can it get forward? I mean, there's a lot of good building sites out there that, you know, I'm sure a lot of people would like to be able to create one out there.
Mhm.
And a little more background for at our last work session we had with the city. This $200,000 number keeps coming out of Mayor Rico on legal fees. And at the time, we offered assistance with our county attorney or looking in how we can assist the county. We haven't heard anything back yet from that. And so when we were at that roundtable meeting recently and the conversation come out as being a nightmare for the area, but yet there's conversation of the city obtaining a multimodal station at the tune of $1 million plus, that CDOT has nowhere on the books for exit 14, which I'm on the member of the South Central Transportation Planning Region Commission. And so that is known, and so when the city residents here, they wanna spend $1.2 million to build something, can they actually build it? Well, the city can, but I-25 there at exit 14 is not even gonna be looked at for at least 8 to 10 years for that off-ramp, much less even if they do it at all, because it's not in the 5-year plan. In the 5-year plan that was, so when those numbers come out, financial dollars come out, people come to commissioners, well, why can't you tell the city, if they're gonna spend $1.2 million, why can't they spend $200,000 and get legal fees and fix Cougar Canyon? Okay, so how do I come out and tell the city that? We have a work session,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where we're at.
I see.
You know, or ask the city, you know, and say again, so everybody can hear, what can the county have to do? what can we do on our end with legal, with funding, we do have a emergency all hazards funds that could possibly fall under the category at the tune of $275,000 annually. So it doesn't mean that the county couldn't assist in some legal fees or something, but without us all at the table, we're just sitting on thumbs.
So that's, an opening session to it will probably be a lot more, because there's
Right.
brainstorming that has to be done, and, the determination of how it's gonna get to the next step and to the next step.
Yeah, and it definitely is a hazard when you don't have $14 million in taxes, your special districts, especially our school districts. Because the state of Colorado sees that school district in Honey and part of City of Trinidad are receiving that funds. So they cut their backfill funding because they're getting that funding, but when they're not paying it at the courthouse, nobody's getting it. So, and I'm not sure how that mechanism works, but I know the school districts are losing because of it. So, and our kids are losing. So, anyway.
Okay, so there's an open invitation,
Thank you.
to members of TURA for March the 14th.
I'll be at the 5:30 at the at the courthouse in their chambers.
And I said tentatively, but that's a set date.
They said they.
All right, anything else on that? Any other questions? All right, moving forward. Item number 3, 1700 Arizona Avenue in Trinidad, and that was a topic that had been brought up by Commissioner Cochran, but you see tonight, that needs to go forward.
I would like to forward that 1700 Arizona Avenue to next meeting's agenda if we could.
Okay.
Ill prepared at this moment, waiting on information from several contractors.
Okay, it's only discussion item anyway, so, if not prepared, we'll just take that forward to our March, whatever it is, meeting, and that'll be a topic of discussion as well.
Good.
Item number 4, Hughes Lumber Company, or Hughes Lumber Property, and I provided information. I gave a slight introduction to that at last month's meeting. And since then, I was able to meet with members of city staff. I did meet last Friday, which was the 3rd of February, with City Manager Steve Ruger, City Clerk Audra Garrett, and City Attorney Les Downs. At that time, we did discuss, and the details of it all are, as the voters of the City of Trinidad last November the 8th did approve referendum to be on the ballot, which would allow the City of Trinidad to sell the property at 127 East Plum Street, which is basically referred to as the Hughes Lumber. You familiar with that? So that was approved. Now, on the referendum, it did state that the sale price would be no less than the appraised value of $332,953. The City of Trinidad has asked if Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority would assist with that under the, basically under the authority granted to us under Colorado Revised Statutes 31-25106, which basically prescribes how a property is to be sold. We're familiar with that because we've done already. And so I've had conversations with our attorney, Paul Benedetti, and he said he's familiar with, having done several of them, actually has one on the verge of closing in Frederick, Colorado, under similar circumstances. So he said he's familiar, he can guide us through this. He said it can be in a relatively easy fashion. And so it's just a matter of getting it to that next step. With that, he provided us with the term sheet, which I did go over it with the city staff last week, and they are agreeable to it. There were really one revision that was made that otherwise became agreeable to the city. And one of those things is this: when it is going to be offered for sale, it will not be holding the purchaser developer to maintaining the anything historic. I mean, they'll buy the property, but there will not be any caveats.
Is that an historic site?
It is not. It's an older building, but it has not been landmarked or does not have a designation. And so that was the information provided. So it would be a matter of, doesn't mean that somebody wouldn't want to come in and do it, but it's a matter of, those are one of the things that they said doesn't have to go on the offer for sale. I'm not call it a listing, but the RFPs that go out or will be put out will not require that it have maintaining any historic feature or characteristics.
Do we know if, there's been any interest in anybody purchasing?
Don't know. Now, what the process is from here is once the term sheet is on the agenda tonight, on the regular agenda, I put it in three phases. First, nothing really goes forward unless we accept the offer to assist. So that under new business item A, we consider the offer to offer for sale, we accept that, then the term sheet, and ultimately going forward to get the contract together between us, the city of Trinidad, determine how we're gonna do it. It will require that there be public advertisement in the local newspaper of general circulation. So it'll all be based upon all that supply, or required or prescribed by state statute. We will be guided on that by Paul Benedetti, our attorney. And again, the city has offered to split the net proceeds, which is minus any of the legal fees or anything else involved. And their agreement is to split those proceeds with the Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority. So,
And how much do you foresee that possibly being? Is that something that the proceeds, do you think that would be, I know it's gonna be better than nothing, but I'm saying.
well, it's gonna be based upon whatever the sale of the property is, not sale.
Yeah.
The sale of that property is contingent on an
No
amount
less.
no less than $332,000.
Yeah.
$332,953.
Okay.
So that is the price when the RFP or the advertisement goes out, that's gonna be set.
Okay.
That number's gonna be there, so buyers will have to meet that. In addition to that, buyers, and there will be, we'll all see that, and that's the way it required to be. The buyer developer will be required to show their capabilities financially and past history of being able to make a development occur. So what you're looking at is
I see,
not
yeah.
selling the property, in short, for future speculation.
Right.
There will be a plan in place by whoever purchases that property to do something with it, and they will provide us with those plans or their,
So that's prior to sell.
prior to sell, prior to acceptance of an offer. Then all that will have to come to us. Our approval will be based contingent upon price offered and the development. The development that is proposed, the capabilities of the developer to be able to do what they say they can do,
Right.
both financially and by track record.
Now, do we have to get the city approval before we accept the offer? Or is it based on our opinion? Being that this is
Yeah,
transferred to
yes,
us?
it'll be, and here's the other way this is gonna happen as well. We will not be they will not transfer this by deed to us until there's a bona fide offer.
Okay.
And before we go to final closing, because if it doesn't sell, we don't need to have a property on our schedule. So, it's a matter of if there's a bona fide offer and it's acceptable to the city and to TURA, then they will transfer that property to us by deed. Then we will go forward and go to the closing and those procedures, transfer deed to the successful bidder and developer.
That's good.
Good, so there's a minimum 150,000 coming this way.
All right.
Yeah, and
That's a good thing.
50% is $166,476.50.
Well,
Less,
closing costs?
less costs and that, so whatever it is, it'll be some legal fees, but whatever, but, the net, and doesn't mean that somebody might not come in and bid
More?
greater than 332. So it is a
That's-
win-win
Yeah, That's
situation.
wonderful.
Is that gonna be a sealed bid, or is it open?
It'll be, well, they'll present it to a seal, there will be a public opening of those bids. I mean, we'll get them, and then, everything we have to do is be made public.
That's
Now,
great.
everything that, that's a requirement. So it's like I say, it's nice that the city offered it
Yeah.
to us, that's a substantial amount of revenue,
Yeah.
especially in the face of revenue that we're seeing not being gained by TIF and other means. So, it's on the schedule.
It's
this
a
evening.
win-win.
So send a thank you to city council.
Yes. Yeah, very good. Thanks, Ed.
All right, anything else on that? Any questions, any comments? All right, item number 5 is the Americana Road Project, pay estimate number 12. And just timing of it all just doesn't allow that all signatures be affixed by the time we meet. But obviously, as in the past, payment is not made till all required signatures are on that, on the pay request. So that's members, the project manager, city manager, the representative for the improvement district, ultimately Trinidad Urban Renewal signs off once those other 5 are in place. So, motion tonight should include, if to approve, should include contingent upon all required, signatures. Item number 6, February, per our bylaws, is our annual meeting, which does require the election, the annual election of chairman and vice chairman. That is on the agenda this evening. And then, items for future discussion. We're going to bring back 1700 Arizona next month.
That'll be the future discussion.
Does anybody else have anything in mind that you would like to have brought forward?
Still learning.
Next monthly meeting will be on the 9th, so we will be meeting before the Cougar Canyon work session, so I don't have any other thing to add unless we want to readdress Cougar Canyon, if there's any discussion further moving at that time. I really don't see the need, but I have nothing else other than that.
I don't know, there's nothing new that could be brought. I mean, we should glean from that and be able to take it forward, but, we can discuss it because it's always a matter of discussion by,
Well,
but,
the other 2 board
yeah.
members that weren't here tonight, possibly if they have any questions, maybe.
Okay. You wanna put it back on? Would you like it back on?
That's up to the board. You guys,
Cougar Canyon back on again for just in case our 2
5-minute conversation.
Yeah.
non-attending members?
I think so.
You may have something by then as well, Commissioner,
Might have more stuff.
or Commissioner Howlett, because he's also working.
Right.
All right, those will be 2. If for anything that you think between now and the next meeting, and I always do my agenda try to get it done in the week so you can have it the Friday before. This month, I guess I explained it, it didn't go out until Monday, but it was based because I had to be able to have that discussion with city staff regarding the Hughes lumber property. And so that didn't happen till Friday, so I wasn't able to compile all the information I needed to until over the weekend to get it out on Monday. Anything else to come before us on the work session? If that's not anything more to be had, it is now 6:02 p.m. We will enter the regular meeting of the Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority. Today is October the 9th, 2023. Item number 1 is roll call.
Bagley?
Here.
Bagley?
Here.
Cockrum?
Here.
Heck?
Here.
Howard? Leone? Lopez?
Here.
Grego?
Yes. And for the record, I was notified in advance by Commissioner Leone that she would be unable to make it due to family matters. And I was also advised in advance by Commissioner Howlett earlier today that he was not able to make it. He was feeling a little under the weather, therefore he didn't think it would be a very good idea to be attending, and so we appreciate that. And sorry that they are not here this evening. Item number 2, approval of the minutes from January, the last meeting we had, January the 12th, 2023. A copy of the minutes was provided to everyone in advance, hoping you had that opportunity to review. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes, January 12th, 2023.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Lopez with the second by Commissioner Heck. Any questions, comments? Roll call.
Bagley?
Yes.
Cockrum?
Yes.
Heck?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Grego?
Yes. Item number 3 is the acceptance of the financial report. That too was provided in advance with the agenda, hoping everybody had an opportunity to review. Is there a motion? Motion to accept the financial report.
So moved.
Commissioner Lopez with the Motion to approve.
And I'll second that.
Commissioner Bailey with the second. Any questions or comments? Just a comment from me, just to advise that I believe that our ending balance for 2022 was actually substantially over what I had estimated for the end of the year. My estimate was less because I had estimated a higher amount of legal fees to be paid between the time I prepared the budget and December 31st, as well as the possibility of one applicant for facade grant. Those two didn't total out where they thought they would be, so we were actually like $10,700 in the plus. And so we did finish out a little better than I thought we would. So our balance as of the end of business, January 31st, 2023, $353,050. So there's a motion and a second. No more questions, roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Heck?
Yes,
Lopez?
Yes.
Grego?
Yes. Item number 4, consideration of bills. Item A, a bill for legal services by Paul Benedetti throughout the month of January. He did provide an itemized billing with the number of hours, the total of $1,290 for services provided from January 2nd through the 31st. Motion?
I motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Bailey for approval. Second.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Cochran. Questions, comments? Roll call?
Bailey?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Heck?
yes,
Lopez?
Yes.
Grego?
Yes. Item number 4B, Purgatory Valley Construction, pay request number 12 for the Americana Road Project, amount $166,375.48. Motion to approve?
Motion to approve $166,375.48 contingent on the other signatures that are required.
Motion by Commissioner Lopez to approve contingent on all signatures affixed on the pay request. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Hecht with the second. Any further questions or comments? Just a side note on there, these do come in relatively quick fashion after they're reviewed. The pay request and all the entries on there are reviewed by city staff, Jenny Jackson, who works in the city engineering department. So any revisions to that are made in advance of it coming to us, so they have been looked at.
Just as an aside, do we know when the completion date for the project is expected to be?
The expected completion date right now is in the March-April range.
That quickly.
Yeah, they're looking at it being in with its completion, and don't hold me to it because delays, I think there was a delay today, but I think they're in the final stages of it,
Yeah.
and looking toward the
I saw
opening.
the exterior looked pretty good.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay, roll call. Or did I?
Bailey?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Heck?
Yes,
Lopez?
Yes.
Grego?
Yes. Item number 5, petitions or communications are all written. Is there anyone present or is there anyone attending via go-to meetings that would like to address the Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority? I will ask a second time, is there anybody that would like to address the Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority either in the audience or via go-to meetings? Let the record reflect that no one has come forward wanting to address or provide information to Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority. Item number 6 is old business, and there's none of record. Item number 7, new business, item 7A, Consideration to accept the offer from the City of Trinidad for the Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority to sell property at 127 East Plum Street, Trinidad, Colorado, 81082, also known as a Hughes Lumber Building.
I make a motion to accept the offer.
And I will second that.
We have a motion to accept by Commissioner Cochran with a second by Commissioner Bailey. Any further questions? Comments? Roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Hess?
Yes,
Lopez?
Yes.
Grego?
Yes. Item 7B, consideration to approve the term sheet regarding the sale of the property at 127 East Elm Street, Trinidad, Colorado, also known as the Hughes Lumber Building. Motion for approval of the term sheet.
So moved.
Commissioner Lopez with the motion to approve. Second.
I'll second.
Commissioner Hecht with a second. Are there any questions or any comments? Roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Hess?
Yes,
Lopez?
Yes.
Grego?
Yes. Item number 7C, consideration to authorize the chairman of the Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority, TURA, to work with legal counsel Paul Benedetti for the preparation of contract documents substantially in conformance with the term sheet for the sale of the property at 127 East Plum Street, Trinidad, Colorado, AKA the Hughes Lumber Building. And what that is that once we approve it, the city puts their signature and we date it as well. It will go to Paul and then he will create the documents, a contract document between TURA and the city that will effectuate the next step going forward. Motion to approve.
motion to approve.
Second motion?
Commissioner Heck, motion to approve with a second by Commissioner Lopez. Any further questions? Any comments?
Sounds like a good deal.
Roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Hess?
Yes,
Lopez?
Yes.
Grego?
Yes. Item 7D, election of chairman. I want to bring something up here and see how members want to do it. Again, our bylaws require that we have election for chairman and vice chairman each year at our annual meeting, which today is considered and described in the bylaws. Do we want to proceed with that tonight, or do you want to defer that a month when we assume there will be a full board here?
I think so. I think everybody should have some.
I think we should have everybody here.
Yeah.
Table it? Let's want to go.
We can table.
Make a motion to table that.
Do you want to make that a dual motion for
Yes.
item D and E?
yes.
Okay, Commissioner Cochran with the motion to defer this to the March meeting, so we have a full board in order to elect officers. Is there a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Bailey. So we will carry this forward as a deferment, so we have all 7 sitting members with the opportunity to vote on those 2 positions.
And just-
Can I ask, are you interested in continuing?
Yes.
I think we'd like to have you.
Yeah, actually,
I guess that's our first question.
I am, I mean, you know, it's one where, you know, if the board has confidence in me,
I have confidence in you.
I just
Just wanted
I'd
to
like
make
to have
sure.
everybody, but we need to make sure you're willing.
yeah, I don't have a problem with it. It's been one where it's
You're
been an
just throwing your hands up, I've had enough.
It's been an arduous 8 years. I've done this since 2015,
It's a lot of
since the
work.
formation. Yeah, but it's one where, you know, hopefully I've done an adequate job so far, and I'm bringing it and conducting the business for the Urban Renewal Authority according to what it should and
you're the
representing
man.
well.
And also, Chair, it's also, in a lot of the boards that I sit on, if you're not at the meeting, you're usually nominated. and without even your consent. So it's good to wait till you have a full board,
Yeah.
you know, for one of these positions, and I don't think for this position here, but other boards I sit on, if you're not there, oh, you're the new treasurer, you're the new secretary.
Well, we went for the longest period of time without having a full board.
Right.
And so now that we have a full board, I want everybody to have that opportunity to vote. I mean, it may be status quo going into the next year, but everybody gets that same opportunity to nominate and vote.
I don't know,
Yeah.
is this, I think you're doing a great job, but I just felt like we should all be able to be here.
And I'm fine with that. And the reason that I brought it up, that we should, to table it to the next meeting. And we hopefully will have a full board at the DIE at that
Yes.
night, so that we can do it. It's just
I
good to
just
have
felt
everybody
that would be
on the same.
the equitable thing.
Okay.
So.
So the motion is for, to defer items 7D and E, the election of the chairman and vice chairman, to the March meeting for consideration by a full board. Motion is by Commissioner Cochran with the second by Commissioner Bailey. Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Heck?
Yes,
Lopez?
Yes.
Grego?
Yes. Item number 8, report by executive director. And again, no executive director, and we're really, like what Steve Ruger, city manager, indicated, we're really gonna have a city or a executive director per se. But, well,
Liaison.
a liaison, and we're gonna determine how that's going to work. And just as an FYI, eight executive, the terminology as prescribed by this Colorado State statute is, and I think it's in our bylaws as well. An executive director is actually appointed by TURA. So if in fact they said, okay, city staff, this person will be, and actually, they will allow it to happen. But that will have to require that we make an official appointment. That's the way it works. I or any member of the board cannot serve as executive director. You have to be an executive director, which is also termed as secretary, that keeps minutes and formulates and transact business. So, an executive director's position, if and when, or should that happen, that will be based, if we get somebody that's interested in it, how it's gonna be, city staff, or going to be someone else. It would be by appointment by us. I mean,
And that's why I asked who the financial responsibility was gonna be, Mr. Ruger tonight, because if we appoint an executive director, then I believe the financial obligation falls on TURA.
it is. It and all the
So
other.
liaison is the right term.
Right.
Yes.
Where we're at.
Yeah.
No checks involved.
Well, and well, in past years, so city staff, former city manager and former development director, Tara Marshall, both of them served as the executive director for TURA. So it can happen. And what I mentioned to Steve Ruger this evening as well, is we get those services based upon a cooperation agreement that's between us and the city of Trinidad, which allows us to use city staff. We wanna go ahead and we wanna just take it to a current level. So we should have that here in the not too distant future to be able to approve a cooperation agreement that they still provide us with those services. And they're invaluable. It's hard to say, especially the assistance I get from Brittany. Brittany knows a lot about urban renewal, and she was just saddled with the job, and she's done a stellar job in assisting me. So, hey, Brittany, thank you.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, Brady.
What I have to report, and I report as the executive director, number one, I did file our 2023 with the Department of Local Affairs, and it was accepted, so it's on file. You can go onto the Department of Local Affairs site, and you can see what it was that was filed, which is exactly what I presented to everybody here. So it and all the other required documents. I did meet with city manager on and other staff on the 3rd of February, we could go tomorrow, last week, and we did discuss the term sheet that was here and the sale of the Hughes Lumber Company. So, and thirdly, I had several discussions with Paul Benedetti going forward. You'll see some of that appeared on the building for the month. And one of the other things that he and I will have a little bit of a conference with Catherine Corral from Downtown Colorado Inc. on the 21st of February, talking about some things that maybe DCI, Downtown Colorado Incorporated, can provide to us in assistance in different ways, up to and including letting us know how we can secure grants to assist us on certain things, to include TIF audits and those kinds of things. So that's what I have. Item number 9, reports by commissioners. Commissioner Cochran?
I have nothing to report.
As I mentioned earlier, I was at the South Central Transportation Planning Region. The reason I was asking so many questions on the multimodal station on exit 14 is because north of exit 14, Urban Renewal owns property. And I wanted to see if that was gonna actually be in fruition, if possibly, and if it would, if it was gonna affect Urban Renewal's lots that we own over there. And if it was gonna come to fruition, maybe how could we utilize it as maybe a selling point for some of those? They're real small lots. I don't think they're.
Exit 14.
Right here on for J&J Motors. The Ed Bells.
No, we don't know anything there.
Well, by the, further up the road, north of the road, by the Casa Apartments. Yeah, 1 or 2 little lots.
Yeah, they're little slivers.
Right,
Yes.
but I wanted to cover all of our bases, excluding urban renewal, to see if anything was gonna be in the plans, and if it was, what was gonna be the direction of, if they're changing the route of I-25, moving it, the water infrastructure, any of that, and none of it's gonna happen. So there was 3 reasons for my questioning that. It was mainly, for this organization, it was for those properties, any information, if they were planning, but looks like it's not on the books. But we could-
Commissioner, what's a multimodal?
So a multimodal station would be like a train station, bus station, taxiways, all in one, under one roof with, kind of like a Union Station in Denver or the train station in Pueblo, which are gonna be revamping here pretty soon. And that's gonna be anticipation because of possible, the Amtrak, the Southwest Chief gonna be going. There's a $26 million $26 million grant that the city of Trinidad obtained to finalize the rail from La Habana to Pueblo. So we bring the Southwest Chief there and possibly to Trinidad as well, but it was mainly, I think, the intent to get it to Pueblo, to pick up more passengers so we can get them to Trinidad and then off to LA through the Amtrak
Pueblo
system.
to Trinidad?
Well, I'm on the Front Range Passenger Rail Board, and we are assigned by legislatures to put a rail from Wyoming border to Trinidad. And so that's gonna, we're just in the infant stages of that, but it all comes together with all these other organizations that I sit on. So I come with a wealth of knowledge, so if you have any questions, please call me. I got a lot of fingers on other places.
Yeah, that's, I think that would really be important for this town.
But even at exit 14, if that would have been manipulated in any way in the next 5 years, could we have utilized that as a possible selling point for something, if it was a small little sliver or something, maybe, I don't know what. But, you know, I just gotta bring information back to this board, what we're working on in the area, so.
Thank you.
Commissioner Heck?
Nothing.
Mr. Bigley?
I just had a thought, do they have any more Hughes lumber places to something similar to that for us? We could, you know, kind of use that kind of as a springboard into some of these new things for the new year, you know?
If they do, they have to go to the ballot first. Either that or they gift it to Urban Renewal.
Right.
Right?
Well, in that particular case, because it had to go to the ballot first, because it was a public building that had been utilized for public services, and so therefore it had to go to the ballot for approval. And I think it was approved by a pretty large margin of voters. So that's how it went. But the legal opinion was because it had served as a public building. You'll remember it was the electric department that was there at some point.
Right.
And so because it had a history of being used as a public building, it had to go there, and it has to go at fair market value. Normally, with urban renewal, when we sell a property, it's based upon fair value, which means it's value added for the community. But in this case, it has been, they've already set the price on it, so there's a ground floor on it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's the good part, so somebody will have to meet that. So, again, it will get the contract, we'll get all the specifications on it. Ultimately, it will be advertised twice in the Chronicle News, 2 subsequent weeks. That's what's required by state statute. And then basically, you know, if there's anything that comes of that, we will take it for approval or find what other steps of remedy are. But,
You also gotta be careful what you ask for too, because if it comes into a property, those locations down there had a lot of train activity back in the early turn of the century in this part of the area, so, you know, was there gonna need to be, ground studies done on the soils and samples like that? Health department usually takes care of that end.
There was, and
The soil samples were done?
that happened in 2017,
Okay.
and they did provide me with a copy of that. They got a clean bill of health.
Yeah, cause they were dumping that dirt up by my liquor store. And so, there's some things you gotta be careful what you ask for, because they start dumping the thing, I was like, I need to see where you put this dirt.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that particular
it was-
property, it had an environmental.
I just thought that was a
And-
great
and
thing,
it-
so,
And it made it.
okay. No other questions?
Anything else?
Do we own the Arizona property, or are we looking to buy it?
That's a future thought for purchase and or development.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Then there would be a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I second.
Commissioner Lopez with the motion, with a second by Commissioner Cochran. Any questions, any comments? There are no dissenting votes. We are adjourned at 6:25 PM.
That was the quickest one we've ever done.
I know.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
Some are really long, some are, I mean, it depends on some of the groups. My
Just
public,
sent me a note.
Depends on how much we wanna argue about that.
quick question, my front range rail meetings usually last about 4 hours.
I get out of the car,
If
we
not
get the
more.
house.
Yeah, it's not even seven.
Call him a pin.
And there's
Call
17
them
board
up, yeah.
members on that,
What'd you do to your
17
hands?
voting members, and
2 weeks ago,
25 total, with the remainder non-voting
Go down to my
members
house
that are
on
Union
the
Pacific,
Staff
BNSF,
meeting, I
Amtrak,
turned my head,
RTD.
Wasn't paying attention.
Government
Slipped on
appointment.
the ice and slammed my head.
Yeah, this
We're
was
working on that package for that
Yesterday,
1,700
gas put
Yeah.
on,
property. Just waiting on a couple
So much
things.
better than
Yeah.
they had to be.
You know, most pertinent ones.
That immobilization is pretty tough.
The first thing I did was
I come into my
68
office
years
7 years ago.
to break something.
Well, let's make that the only one you ever do.
And he's like, oh,
Okay,
just-
just very
all
careful.
right, so that-
Than's for being here, Mrs. Bigley.
Yeah, take some time.
She's got her hands.
So sometimes it's
there
It's frustrating.
Oh,
But
she didn't
again,
slip, though.
If you screw up.
She didn't know what she did, but,
Step, you go back
No,
and
it's
step,
just
and then
jammed
it's
my-
forget about it.
The ligament on my
We'll see you.
arm.
We'll see you, man, have a good, be careful getting home.
this is Jeff, this is my wife Linda.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Mr. H, my kid said, I told him that you were, well, oh, he's a great teacher. We really like Mr. H.
See ya.
Have a good night, guys. Good to see ya.
Price and Mikey Dasco were at a basketball game, so that's what
So
I'm
did
saying.
you have Angelina?
No.
No, she's in the morning, she had a.
Thanks, Brittany.
Welcome, hi. Or does she have
I,
Mikey?
Brittany,
is your husband the